happens when you try to do that.
Yeah, it seems like there's not on the return on investment.
Yeah.
What we really need to do is somehow look at, figure out where it's not.
Which is hard because it's not visible because we don't enforce anything on it. But
Well, it's hard, but it's not that hard. You can find the top stuff.
yeah, but it's all up to someone deciding. Oh, I wonder. I'll take a look at coverage and see. But
What about having a job to do it but not making it really, you know, 40%, you increase coverage by some appreciable amount?
If you can do that, it's kind of a good idea, but most likely everyone will.
Yeah, that's what I was afraid of, yeah.
yeah.
So, the other thing that's just general coverage, what you said you're working on running all of the deputy and data, which are the ones on the Python coverage, so you want to test against that and find out what you've tested.
Ooh.
If this works, and we're showing you how, you do how many the demons run, and they could actually put coverage rules, so you probably do it where it works. We can actually find out what our coverage of test is, or functional test, or whichever.
That would be a really good report.
Yeah.
So in Manila, we run the cover test on every patch, and it'll fail if you're making things worse. It's not voting. And as a reviewer, you don't have to run a toxic for anyone else to cover or pay attention to what exactly was tested in the commit. You just you get a little red flag that says, hey, you might want to look at this.
It's not accurate though.
Yeah, except it doesn't always work right. But the idea is very handy, and it's not voting, so you don't have to -1 somebody for it, but you can look at it and say, hey, you might want to look at this, you're making it worse.
Things being done in reviewers in here.
And we've already kind of experimented with this. You guys remember our piloting job? And
Yeah.
I looked at it 20 minutes and found 3 actual bugs in Cinder by reading output. Because it's in there running forever.
You have to walk there?
The piloting job, it's the same kind of thing. It's very useful, but it's, it's kind of fuzzy. You have to interpret it.
We keep that public,
No.
It will,
It's another one that's hard to make voting, I think.
yeah, and it's getting harder too. There's lots and lots of kind of things that it can quite figure out the version of it that we need to kind of figure out the best of it, the mark and all that.
And for now, our functional test uses full dev stack with LVM. What about using fake driver? Because we've got Tempest, which use LVM too. And for
And on Xing, at one point, it created a fake LVM driver, right?
That is already there. It's
Is it?
on the test.
you've got different implementation of fake driver.
Right.
At least one in test and one in Cinder.
Yeah.
I think that makes sense. Only get hung up on
From one point of view, functional tests should test integration of Cinder, different parts of Cinder API schedule, Cinder API, and Cinder volume services. And doesn't matter backend works or not.
So you're saying just a kind of fake, just return success. It doesn't really go to
Yeah,
the backend.
because we've got Tempest test. Why do we need test the
Oh,
same?
The reason
twice?
for me to write that is for Tempest test because the the consistent code doesn't have Tempest test coverage. That's why I wrote that driver that added up to that. So that's different purpose.
Yes, but for your case, we can use into Tempest test, which Sean proposed.
Yeah, for me that is actually useful for people who don't have a backend at least for consistent code to test it. So we still need it somewhere.
Yeah.
It's not.
So we agree. Sean, would you like to add something about entry Tempest test?
Yeah, we can mention it here. See if you, okay, you do have the link there. So there's a patch out there. It adds the infrastructure to have entry tests. This patch doesn't actually add any Tempest tests to it. There's one that's just a kind of a dummy one that I put in there just so that we could see the output in the results, just to verify it's running. Because I wanted this to just focus on making sure that the framework was in place and working right. There is a slight change in the way we invoke Tempest. So if we want these entry Tempest tests run by, say, every third-party CI, there'd be a small tweak. Just instead of tox eall, it's tox eall plugin, just to make sure tox picks those up because it's a Tempest plugin that gets loaded in. But then that gives us that full control over what we add as a Tempest test. And we could have them just be something that our third-party CI runs against our backends. So we get better additional coverage that we're not imposing on the normal gate jobs. So that link is in the Etherpad.
So this can get merged at any time, it's harmless, but when we take tests out of Tempest, put them in here, the third-party CI need to be ready for that.
Yes, we'll want to make sure that everyone has their third-party CIs updated to be able to be running these. If that's the route if we decide to take out of core Tempest to make that a smaller subset of tests that are really more focused on more of the interaction between services, and then have things that are specific to our own Cinder coverage. That's one thing that was brought up before, that we could use this as a way to make that a lighter weight Tempest test run, and then a more complete Tempest by our third-party CIs or additional jobs or what have you.
I don't remember where did I hear it, but somebody proposed to leave in Tempest only test which verify DevCore. Other tests should be.
Yeah, I think I heard that somewhere too. Yeah, I don't remember either.
I like this idea because we as Cinder maintainers, Cinder dev team, could ask people to contribute to test too, and we are not blocked by Tempest team.
Yeah, because as we've seen with a couple patches, it's kind of difficult if we're trying to increase Cinder coverage, but it's not something that they consider a core feature. The Tempest team actually rejected, wasn't it the consistency group patch because of that? So, well, that was part of it, I think, right?
Yeah, they cannot run in the gate, so that's why they.
Yeah, which, yeah, basically they can't run an LVM. Yeah.
Initially, I thought maybe like a third party, but I think that's the party.
I thought this was the purpose of having functional tests, is that we could still do those
Yeah,
tests.
function test, it's ours, then we can do it, yeah.
Right.
So the plan for these entry tests was stuff like years stuff in there, or we're still gonna stay as long as we go in there and work on all that.
Consistent group tests can be added there, right? So because we already have those tests, I have those tests. I can edit it in your.
Yeah, well, I guess that is a good point, though. Yeah, what do we do in functional versus what do we do with entry Tempest?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least for myself,
Yeah.
From my point of view, Tempest interior, not interior, it's more about integrated test.
So the Tempest test is supposed to test the API itself, and whatever you do behind the API, whatever, right? We just happen to be piggybacking on top of that to test our back ends, when that's really what I think functional tests should be attacking. No.
You can basically exercise all the time to drag your back end. I mean, whether you're attaching a node or you're doing all the I'm not saying you don't also need tempest test stuff.
Yeah.
But if I want to do a quick smoke check, I don't have to have the whole thing on.
I think whatever we end up with, then we should probably have a dev ref that clearly, now that we have integration, functional, inter-tempest,
What's the purpose of each of them?
we better clearly define what each of these are intended for so that there's not confusion of where do I put this.
So we'll make that a to about this specific talk we're having, right? Is that?
Yeah.
So we're gonna come out of this.
Okay, good.
Start requiring those tests at the same time that a feature gets submitted, like you do going for its merge, otherwise functional style tests in the same patch.
I think that's applicable.
Yeah.
So that's a good idea. It's just as far as when you see something that could stand something greater than unit tests, yeah, we should ask for that.
It will help us to get tested more faster. Because if we introduce new feature in Cinder and it should cover it in the Tempest, we need to patch in Cinder, in Tempest, and 2 patches to DevStack to disable this feature. Previous releases and enable in Mac.
So the only problem that I see with that is that if it's a feature that's tied to driver capabilities, we need to be able to skip those unless your backend that you're running in that environment can actually support that capability, because otherwise you get failures, right? In the case of CG, where it doesn't, LVM where it doesn't support CG, that would obviously fail. Must be.
And then I don't think that this is all the features.
Okay.
Yeah, it's also
There's
said,
a spinner model.
Okay.
and then the different blocks can all read the comp, just like Cinder reads its own comp.
Okay.
Just refer to it and say, if this feature is turned on, otherwise, I will skip that right here. It's really simple.
Okay.
All that kind of stuff is well solved. We just kind of have to all get used to it.
Using it, yeah.
You consider dev ref for sort of, here's how we use it, or this, here's how you can use it for your backend.
Right.
We've been using Tempest for our internal calls for 2 years now, so I'm pretty familiar with all the Tempest stuff. I do forks that every day, every once in a while. Internally. So, you guys have any questions on that stuff where it's
Are you volunteering? for the
Yeah,
dev
but-
ref?
We could ask questions or
Or
you.
we-
I don't know everything, there's still some mysteries.
Well, would it be good to sit here now and figure out if we have these entry tempest tests? What do we move in there? Do we move everything we can and leave only things that use other services in the Tempest tree?
I think we should honestly start with stuff that's not covered.
Yeah.
So only new tests?
I don't really use strong with
Yeah, that's what.
Yeah.
Well, what I do is I take the points, plugins in Tempest and examine those plugins that moving them. Because if we can change a minute or two off our run, then we're going to win some friends.
Yeah.
But that's-
everybody's day by day.
That's right, but that's the thing, is if we want to just pick, do we want to just pick the slowest? Why not just pick everything you can, and you're going to get that much more time saving?
Because those things also get run for things like libraries. So you don't want to lose too much coverage. You want to cut your coverage down to the minimum because you're less likely to catch things that are weirdly cost project.
Well, that's why
Requirements.
you be careful and not pick things that are weirdly cost project. But why does every Nova cache need to run all cinder stuff, and why not just rip it all out, everything we can that's not applicable to any library as we identify.
Yeah, the criteria should be if another project can't break the test in cinder.
And how are you gonna know that if you rip them all out?
Well, you don't rip them all out blindly. You look at, you decide, well, what can we take out? And you say,
I would start with the heaviest test.
yeah, or at least start looking at them. You know, maybe sort it by how long the test takes and start with it. But the point is, why would something not be a candidate to take out if it's possible? It clearly is not used by any other service or library.
I think it's fine, I just don't think that's the priority. I mean, the only reason this thing is because we care about one more test.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very big width to show you a second job or movement in trade that doesn't have a big width. Or if we can show you a mini job and we get test and say that is an outcome of how we're going to trade, that is a little bit of credit in the business.
I think they're both valid points.
So, yeah.
In
Well,
parallel.
For me, it seems like first priority or the biggest gain is, yeah, and let's increase our test coverage. But then ongoing, as we identify tests that are part of temper proper, if they aren't things that need to be run everywhere, then yeah, let's move those into Cinder. And you know, the less load we have on Gate in general, better milestones are going to be for everybody. And
The thing is, the things in the test trade are also depth also.
Hmm.
So are they, so whether it's taking on the server remote, they show from depth or it's depth.
yep. So their actual statement is what Tempest is for API validation scenarios and other specific tests useful for validating an OpenStack deployment. So, you know, it's kind of a general test suite for, its real intention is to validate someone's deployment that you can run against it and make sure things are working. You know, we've kind of adapted that to expand complete test coverage, but I don't think the real intent was originally that it would cover everything.
And I think that's kind of one of the reasons I'm excited about the entry stuff, is it lets us go right, really test, try to break drivers.
Yeah, that don't fall under that.
They don't really want that.
Yeah.
That's really what they're going for. Absolutely. So it lets us be a lot more creative with trying to bang out code, break stuff. I think it's going to probably result in finding a lot of bugs.
Yeah.
So your patch, I mean, we can get that merged this week. There's no reason not to merge.
Yeah, I'd love people to take a look at it. I think we've gotten a few people reviewing it, and you know, other than that, it doesn't actually really test anything right now. It appears to be working just fine, and if we get that in now, even if we don't have real tests in there, we can at least start getting third-party CIs to start doing that all plug-in run, so that they, as we add stuff in there,
They get it for free.
CIs should just start picking them up.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely take a look at it and let me know if there's any feedback. All right.
It's also still going to be limited to things that are generic to Cinder and not like vendor-specific tests. This is the NetApp functional test, and these are the HP functional tests.
Functional test might not do it.
Well, I don't know, would we all suite internally of tests that we've written in Tempest? I'm not saying that I want to push that out.
I actually I think that would be fine to have vendor specific, as long as it's skipped for every other vendor.
So my question is, are you testing things that are not generic?
Well, we would be testing, like
Yeah.
we actually go and we verify that our backend has the volume to place full products in place.
So actually, yeah,
Mm.
I'm trying to write a test like that right now, so I love steel test.
Okay.
And I'm trying to do it generically enough to plug in that black versus white box testing, test point yourself on the black box test.
Sure.
So I'm trying to do a plug-in for you, white box test, where you define how to log into the computer node, how to log into the volume node. So I'm writing data and check certain things on the computer node and on the volume node. I haven't looked at that yet, but use this requirements for entry points or confirm the volume on the back end. with, and we look at how to make those generic that be useful for processing. I think that would be really good.
But I think if you enabled that, then you could do more complex things like retype validation, where you have extra specs that are vendor specific that you could set up the extra spec keys and values in a conf file and then run a retype and then validate the fact that yes, your volume is now on this pool on your back end or whatnot, and it's then provisioned versus thick or whatever.
If you prefix your test with a call down and an API to find out the host and to grab the extra specs of that host, you've had to make them generic and they solve skip. You've not NetApp backend. NetApp specific test is not NetApp backend, just skip. And it's a two-line macro rather than text.
Yeah.
For a starting point, and then they can go in a shared tray. And everybody's got them, and there is below skips. Probably okay.
I was just wanting to gauge whether some of the community might be wanting or thinking of or just outright. But it sounds like there's some interest in possibly allowing vendor specific testing.
And I think we need more white box testing, which is naturally somewhat vendor specific. But I think you can make it cost better.
Yeah.
Or they're making vendor specific where it needs to be and.
But is it true?
Yeah.
Why not?
Okay.
But I think if you look at the trade, you do need to do a little bit of work to make them
Yeah, try and make them
skip or pass or whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's a big thing. That's a copy and paste. We'll figure out how to do it.
Then we class it.
Yeah, I was just about to suggest a class decorator and you're done.
We have wrappers on all of our, or decorators actually on all of our tests. We have some that are specific to the C-dot array, and some that are
Yeah.
arrays. Are they NFS, are they access?
Right.
So
We would do the same thing.
And you still more work from the
Yes, well, I wrote a little hack that let my, our Tempest read sender comp.
If you can't distinguish the fed filters, can you find a photo place? Because I think you should be able to.
Well, right now, we weren't originally when I first wrote the framework.
There wasn't even pools around. So if you check that API, just include what you want.
Yeah, I'll take a look.
I think it's a magic wand.
Few more topics to cover. A functional test for Python bricks in the client. Nothing to discuss. Just let's merge it because nobody reviews it except Scott and Nelson. Thank you. The simple test which covers get connected API.
Okay, I'll look at it too. Admin.
Cinder backup. We don't have backups test for most of our backends. We've got tests for Ceph, Swift, and GlassJFS only. No LVM, no Google Cloud Engine.
Actually, that's an interesting point. When who was it? Nikesh was adding the Google Cloud backup. We expected the same as a volume backend, that there'd be a third-party CI requirement, which I hadn't, didn't even think about until then. But maybe we do need third-party CI on. Well, maybe these are too simple for that. But at least some.
We have no CI. How we can say that it will?
Right. Yeah.
The same question is true for brick connectors too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all of them are covered. There's only 2 or 3 or maybe 4 that are. There's vendor-specific ones that aren't in there. And
What about NFS? Should we set up on info?
That would have to be an infra.
Keep speaking up, please.
Sorry.
So just there's no third-party CI or any kind of CI test for the backup drivers or the OS brick connectors right now. So how do we know any of those actually do work?
patches to brick themselves, yeah. There are some brick CI, third-party CIs that are in place, but they don't cover all of the connectors. And I would really like to get those in, especially with the work that we've been doing this release, because we've been doing a bunch of refactoring, and there's no way to know that we haven't broken Scale IO or whatnot, right? So, what's that?
Yeah.
It should be. They need to put it in.
Maybe we can ask Sean to announce this requirement to mailing list
Right.
and follow the same guidelines as we do
I
for
should,
Cinder.
yeah,
We
I will
should.
do that.
We just never talked about making it a requirement yet,
Yeah.
but I think it's time that we
Yeah,
Agree with you.
talk about it, at least, if not, make it a requirement.
What deadline there?
Sorry, what?
What deadline are you guys thinking about using?
I don't know. N2, N3, fine, I don't care. Yeah, as long as we have a deadline, it's reasonable.
yeah,
Maybe
It's not a legal thing to do with the other.
Yeah,
yeah.
or
It's a
maybe
new
we can-
requirement we're imposing now, so, yeah, probably N3. Make sure everyone has enough time.
My refactor patch won't be able to merge until we get that tested like nobody's business.
yeah.
Yeah,
So I think this session's supposed to end at 4:10. I don't know if there's something else coming.
Yeah.
Now, I've got one more comment on this. I don't want the answer, but can we fix those problems in the ice? So if it's over to clone or go to tipping floor,
That's been such a nightmare this whole last release, yeah.
I don't, what I'm just don't bother with this obviously, unless I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Because most times it's that, yeah, it's that legally, cloud failure.
Yes.
So there's a minimum recipe for how to fix that. I think, I was talking to you a while ago about this.
yeah,
Because there's people that run standard CS stuff, which all be done. I'm pretty sure there's another way to fix that.
and I think I updated our Cinder wiki for third-party requirements. I think I put a snippet of the configuration YAML. It's like a 3-line change, I think, to make sure it doesn't report on stuff like that. So it's out there. I guess if anybody sees someone still doing that, let's start. I thought it also covered merge failures.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Hmm.
It's just a different return.
Yeah. So we can really do the same thing. We're definitely copies the same, JJB thing, it's like textbook. And we just have to like grab the thing and make sure we turn the right code to change.
Hmm.
So we, I'm gonna be looking at that.
Would
Okay,
that also
we're good.
cover apt failures too? Because that can be just as much of a nightmare.
Well, it'll depend on where in the spectrum it fails.
Yeah.
Because you'll catch it for the setup and throw one return code, and then you'll catch it during the actual run and throw another return code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's done during the setup or even the cleanup, you'll get an unstable, and if it's done during the actual run, it'll fail.
Okay.
We still haven't figured out how to do it though. We're one of those ones that throw and fail.
If people do figure that out, it's just going to be easy when they're in time. Because like, otherwise you'll always be online.
Yeah.
And then we can actually start cracking down on failures.
Yeah.
Something really.
Yeah. That's what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is a constant every release.
The problem right by contributors is that they don't like to consume that, because they never know which CIs are involved or not.
Right.
So kind of running out of time.
Yeah.
Do we want to add Bandit in this at all? Has anyone
Thought
ever
about it.
run Bandit against an
I've
old
run it.
list?
I've run it, and nothing you
They were,
It's a boatload of,
everyone I
noise.
checked was a false positive.
yeah.
So I was hoping originally, I voted for getting Bandit coverage in there. And hopefully it's usable someday, but as it is right now, it doesn't look like it's
A lot of
anything. Yeah. Security analysis?
It should be a sealed analysis.
Well, that's one of the topics on here. Yeah. Do you know the latest with Rally? With Rally? How, I think we had talked about making Rally voting job in Gates.
Yes, but we decided to not do it because we as the community doesn't know almost anything about Rally.
Yeah.
Oh.
And I think when we looked at it before, it wasn't quite fully stable on the test runs, which was my main objection to making it voting. And
From
not having experience with it is another issue.
as I see, we've got one trailer from Rally, some tank trailer. We've got reported about to Cinder. It was about originally Bach was reported about Tempest failure, something with LVM checksum. I can't reproduce it on my end. Really don't know what is it. Except this issue, I could say is very stable.
Well, the purpose of it is for performance testing, no? So, I mean,
Yes.
yeah, it's kind of different, I guess.
It's
Yeah.
not about only performances, concurrency testing. Because Tempest doesn't.
Yeah.
Both me with Boris working on some series of screencasts to say how Rally works, how to troubleshoot it. I don't know when we will finish it, but there's some progress in it.
Do you want the project user and vote?
What value is it? But we look at it and look for trying to shake out currency.
Does it just pass?
We actually have to, well, that's what I wondered too, is if we have to use this, like, does it actually help us do that? More than just trying to
Rally's actually easy to use.
Yes. Rally allows us to run tests in parallel.
Yeah. And the stats that you get out of it are pretty.
Sometimes it finds a bug which Tempest did find.
Yeah.
If you wanted heads up on a performance regression, seems like you want to move Rally to it. Not Tempest test to try to say, well, Tempest test got slower.
The problem is that in upstream, you don't know what node you're getting, and the performance of that one would be vastly different.
You can do it, that'd be a nice tool, but whether it's false positives or hard to figure out.
Yeah.
We have not infra tools for it.
The one thing that might be valuable in the data, validate the value scenarios that are in this integrated, or the students telling you the value set, otherwise around using it, are valid, because they're really useful on real cloud when you're trying to track down stability and speed on the cloud.
Yeah.
Just knowing that they're valid and still work, and limited but definitely valid.
Yeah, last time I looked in Rally, there weren't a boatload of Cinder related things. It was mostly Cinder plus Nova, and I think it might be useful to have some Rally test in Cinder that you only run as inside of Cinder. But
Given that every time I speak to several people here will said the same thing, big volumes from all of their cloud, and then they say, oh, that's where my cloud broken.
right.
That's not very nice.
There was a session earlier this week where somebody was doing that. That's the scalability of volume creation, running queries at a time to see the growth.
Yeah.
As well as deletes, we've actually run into problems where customers have done large volumes of deletes and clones and deletes or snapshots and deletes and run into problems with that.
Yeah.
It's
an
issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scott, want to talk about microgrid testing later? Because we're over time. Oh,
Yeah, you basically create a workflow scenario and then you run in threads and then it gives you a report on how well that's performed.
all right, we're over time.
Yes, thank you for
Yeah, thanks.
So if we can continue our discussion Friday if I got covered.
Yep. Good. That last Cinder session today. Go drink.
Well.